Hello and welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast from good friends who are obsessed with movies and physical media. Every week we're here talking 4Ks and Blu-rays, talking about movies, recommending them. We're glad you're here. My name's Kurt.
And I'm Sam.
We're also joined by our producer, Kimberly. What's up, Kim?
Hello, Kim.
The limit does not exist.
Whoa. Here she comes.
I'm here.
Kim's a plastic.
I wish.
I figured as much.
Today we're talking Paramount Pictures' brand new 4K UHD Blu-ray release of Mean Girls, celebrating its 20th anniversary. But first, let's talk about our weeks. We talked several episodes ago about the release of The Crow in 4K.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which also just came out from Paramount. The Crow is a 1994 comic book adaptation directed by Alex Proyas, who people might know from Dark City.
Is this the movie he does directly after Dark City or just before?
Directly before.
Oh, cool. Okay.
This movie is about a musician and his fiancée who are murdered in the first scene. And exactly 1 year later, he is resurrected from the dead and is basically invincible and guided by a sort of spirit animal crow who leads him on a quest to exact revenge on this sort of underworld gang responsible for his death and the death of his soulmate. Sam, I'm here to tell you, this movie is tight.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I loved it.
Okay.
I had seen it as a kid, I think, and didn't really connect with it. I remember it being like visually unappealing to me at the time. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much of that is just my taste changing, or I could see it possibly being like this movie on VHS isn't exactly the same experience as like this brand new 4K, which is gorgeous to look at. It's an amazing transfer. And so I had seen it, but it felt like I had never seen it. It's been a long time. A lot of it is cheesy, a lot of it's dated, but it really felt ahead of its time.
I haven't seen it since high school, and so that was kind of it. I remember, certain little shots or scenes from it, but I don't remember the movie as a whole at all.
It has like a really cool production design that certainly doesn't look real, but has a lot of charm to it. I think It's been a minute since I've watched Dark City, but I'm pretty sure it's very similar to that. That kind of almost like Metropolis, like the movie Metropolis, like that sort of like cardboard cutout looking city. A lot of miniatures, a lot of practical effects, and just like really good action, a ton of action, as well as a really good cast. There's a lot of really fun like supporting players in this movie. I think particularly, I'm not sure if you remember him, Sam, but Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
He plays like a beat cop who sort of teams up with Brandon Lee's character, the Crow, and is kind of this like softer character inside of this really brutal, hard world. I had completely forgotten he was in it, but there's just more nuance and layers to it than I remembered.
I didn't pick this disc up, but now I think I might have to. It's one of those kind of infamous soundtracks. The soundtrack's incredible. The Cure song "Burn" that plays in the movie, that's on that soundtrack. Mm-hmm. They actually played that live when I saw them a couple months ago, and it was phenomenal.
Nice.
I know where this movie stands culturally. I just haven't seen it in forever. I really gotta pick this disc up. Is it still pretty readily available?
I think so. It just came out.
Okay.
This movie's, of course, like infamous for the death of its star, Brandon Lee, who was shot on set and killed with a prop gun or a real gun with what was supposed to be blanks, but a projectile essentially came out of the gun, and they had to pivot a lot, and there were a lot of reshoots and rewrites. And this movie was originally set to be distributed by Paramount theatrically, and they ended up walking away essentially, and Miramax came in to finish production and distribute it. There's no more Miramax, so Paramount seems to have the distribution rights again, but it's a complicated watch in that sense with Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anybody's interested in The Crow or a fan of that movie, I highly recommend that new release.
Hell yeah. What else did you guys see?
We also watched this 94 kind of erotic thriller called Disclosure. Do you know this movie, Sam?
I know that our Instagram, you posted the picture of it. That's all I know about it.
So, Disclosure is a movie about
It's wild.
a man who sues his female boss for sexual harassment. They work at a Seattle prototypical virtual reality company.
Already, that's enough to give you an idea.
This screenplay is based on a best-selling novel by Michael Crichton.
Oh, hell yeah, dog.
The man is played by Michael Douglas, and his boss is played by Demi Moore.
Okay.
This movie is incredibly bizarre.
My jaw was on the floor the entire time.
Kim, can I ask you a general question? Especially in this era, do you find Michael Douglas attractive?
I have never found him attractive. However, I think he's very charismatic. I think he's a great actor. He doesn't do it for me.
The 90s was just Michael Douglas sex thrillers for like 8 years straight, dude.
That's kind of the beauty of it, though. He was just always cast in those movies.
It's just crazy to me. I don't think he's like overwhelmingly sexy.
The most attractive he is to me is in Romancing the Stone.
Oh, wow.
He's a babe in that.
Jungle Michael Douglas.
Jungle Michael Douglas.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
So good.
So yeah, a movie about a man proving a woman's sexual assault accusation being false probably wouldn't happen today, and that's okay. It's one that's better left in the past, I think, but we had a fun time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really dated.
I can truly only imagine.
And then, Sam, we talked a little bit about it, but I revisited Donnie Darko for the first time since probably high school or whenever it came out.
Did you get the Arrow?
I did. I watched the 4K Arrow. Do you have that disc?
I have the Blu-ray box set from Arrow, but I do not have the 4K.
Not my favorite 4K.
Sure. You said it looked a little muddy?
A little muddy, a little dull. It may be the way it's shot. It seems like it might be. I don't know. I don't know if I have the technical vocabulary for it, but it was just kind of flat. So I had seen it and I had these sort of images of it burned in my head without any real structure to hang them on from my memory. And I gotta say, having seen it again, I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
Where there's like incredible imagery and I don't really understand that movie.
It is a movie that I loved throughout high school and early into college. And, you know, when I was first really getting into Arrow releases, that was like an early US Arrow release.
Oh, okay.
And so I was happy to pick that up.
That's the version you have now?
Yeah, and mine's like a thicker side-loading sleeve that has like a hardcover bound book and then the theatrical and director's cut housed in different cases.
Oh, cool. Okay. So that's a lot different. I just got the standard 4K one, but I know they make a big box of it too.
I have not revisited the movie in a long time, and I like it, but I don't know how much sense it makes.
You mentioned that the director's cut might make more sense. I'm willing to try that next time.
They kind of like almost over-explain some of the time travel stuff.
A beloved movie, though.
Yeah, people go wild for this movie. Another incredible soundtrack.
Exactly.
Sam, well, how about you?
After we finished recording last week, I threw on the Predator 2 disc.
Ooh.
I watched Predator 2 for from start to finish for the first time in a very long time. Predator 2 is not good. That's my final take on the matter.
Yeah, that's my memory.
Is Arnold in it?
No, it's Danny Glover, who I like, but I feel like is horribly miscast in that movie.
Is Bill Paxton in that?
Yep. He was my favorite part. There's like a big train sequence that I just remember being awesome. And I was just like, oh, it's not. That's a bummer. And then a couple days after that, I threw on the disc for Predators. I think that movie's awesome. I think it suffers from, some bad 2010s CGI, but for the most part, it feels like a lot of the stuff is done practically. And I think it's just a really cool movie and a great concept.
Remind us what the premise of Predators is. It is so good.
Oh, yeah, sure. 7 or 8 people randomly dropped into the jungle. And within the first 25 minutes, they all kind of bump into each other and start meeting and figuring out that they've all been taken from some type of war zone. And then they realize they're not on Earth and they're being hunted by, we know the Predator, but, they don't know what that is.
The opening is amazing. It literally starts with them like all in free fall.
Yeah.
Onto this planet.
This movie's 2010, so there's a lot of character actors who I didn't realize were in it at the time. Walton Goggins is in it, Mahershala Ali, Adrian Brody plays the main character, Lawrence Fishburne pops up. It's a great cast.
Is Topher Grace in this?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And then in the theater, I actually got a free IMAX upgrade on the Fall Guy. So I saw Fall Guy in IMAX, and then I saw Challengers as well.
I would like to see Fall Guy. I have not yet.
I think you'll dig it. It's like a fun time at the movies.
That's all I'm looking for, man.
Yeah.
Challengers.
Do you mean product placement, the movie?
Product placement?
Yeah, oh my God. It is like a little mind-numbing at times. But
There is a lot of product placement in it.
the movie's got to get made somehow. I get it. I liked it. I don't think I was as head over heels about it as you guys were, but I thought it was good. There's a part of me that, like, Zendaya looks like she's 12 years old all the time. Where she's supposed to be like 37. I was like, okay, this is insane.
I think she said it's the first time she's ever had the opportunity to play older.
Yeah, that is pretty clear.
Yes, it doesn't make sense that has like a 6-year-old or whatever. I'm like, no. The whole thing, though, is just artificial fantasy to me.
I'm not trying to like be nitpicky with it. I liked it. I think there are times where some of like Luca's highlights and the way that he makes movies, I can feel a little distance from. But I enjoyed my time with it. The fucking score is phenomenal.
The score is the best part.
It's a movie with just an amazing ending. You just walk out of the theater like
Elated.
Soaring, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan.
I was really worried because I was really enjoying myself halfway through, and I was like, oh man, he's just not going to stick the third act.
Yeah.
Especially in a sports movie, like a rivalry kind of plot line, you know? I found myself really going, how are they going to end this? And not how I thought they would.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, the movie is really, it's well paced. It like constantly bounces back and forth like a tennis ball in a tennis match. Like you're going this way and you're going that way. And it's a well-made, well-acted movie.
Josh O'Connor.
You think it's going to get a lot of awards buzz?
I would say so, but I mean, it's early, but I also feel like because of the strike, this year might be sort of a drought. I don't know. I would hope so.
Yeah, I just don't think we have like a lot of huge movies this year. So I think its chances are pretty decent.
It's definitely my favorite Luca since Call Me By Your Name.
Same.
Is Suspiria after Call Me By Your Name?
Yes, I believe directly after.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's way better than Bones and All.
Yeah.
Way better.
Announcements?
Yeah, let's dive in. What do we got? What do you highlight?
I really only have one, and it came out today.
Is it a Paramount Presents one?
Yeah. Election.
Yeah, totally.
Election's coming out on 4K from Paramount Presents, and part of me is like, hell yeah, and part of me is like, I've already had 2 versions of this on Blu-ray.
This is a Criterion, right?
It's Criterion. I had like the standard one before that. It's the first time it's in 4K, so that's, the draw, but
got it.
I think I'll wait for the review. The Blu-ray looks very good, the Criterion one.
Does this mean that the Criterion is out of print now?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think it's like 1-to-1 like that as far as I know, but I certainly like the artwork on the Criterion better than the Paramount Presents.
Yeah, I agree.
I do love Election. Chris Klein's performance in Election I find to be very comedically underrated. I think he's a genius.
Again, another one that I saw in high school that I haven't revisited since, and and everyone always talks about how great it is, especially in terms of Alexander Payne movies. I know it's like some of his later ones are a little bit more maligned. I'm excited to see this again.
Yeah, you definitely should. I'm a big fan of Sideways, but I think this is his best movie.
Oh, cool. Okay.
What did you see announced, Sam?
A Collateral 20th Anniversary Edition was just announced. I think that's on 4K right now.
It is. Isn't this just a steelbook, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think it really is the exact same thing as a steelbook, but it reminded me that I need to buy Collateral on 4K.
Yeah.
I'll get the standard one, but that's fun that they're doing a 20th anniversary of it.
It's a good looking 4K. It is digital, obviously, and
yeah.
I think there's only so much kind of improvement to be made, but the colors and like the contrast and stuff with all the nighttime footage is definitely an improvement.
Also, one of my wishes finally got announced. They announced, a UK-based company announced A Nightmare on Elm Street on 4K. No cover art was shown with it, no specs, nothing. And then there was a post on Blu-ray.com that was a little cryptic, and it just said there will also be a US edition. Again, we don't know any companies or anything, so it's fun that a wish of mine has come true, but I would like a little bit more information.
It's halfway there.
Yeah.
A half wish.
It's a half wish come true. I think it's just Warner Brothers. I don't think it's
Okay.
going to be revealed to be someone else.
Bummer.
But yeah, I think it sort of remains to be seen how satisfactory this release will be, but hopefully.
So the morning it got announced, Kurt and I texted about it real quick, and then he texted me later in the day and was like, why is A Nightmare on Elm Street $60 a pre-order? And I was like, are you out of your mind? I'm not buying that. I'll just wait. And his response was, but what if it sells out? And I said, it's a mass-produced one. It's fine. He's like, it literally says limited edition in the title. And I went on Diabolic and bought it immediately. But I may cancel that and wait for the US release.
One thing kind of fun, Drew, our good friend and former guest from The Departed, texted me last week, and there was a brief window of availability for a 4K region-free version of Killers of the Flower Moon.
Hell yeah.
And I bought it.
Is that window closed?
It seems to be closed.
Wow.
I didn't tell you, Sam, because you have a region-free player.
Yeah, it doesn't matter as much for me, but I still want to pick it up.
I did go on to a YouTube channel that had a review of it before purchasing in order to feel like it was worth the import price.
Another not cheap disc.
And it sounds like it is. So I'm really excited. And it seems like the disc is actually pretty English language friendly. This particular critic was pointing out that I think right when you put it in, there's just like do you want this in Italian or do you want this in English in terms of like the interface and the menu and all that stuff. So I'll report back, but I'm really excited about that.
Again, that's so great, but also how silly that we are not getting a US disc as of right now.
I mean, yeah, now that I've paid import prices, I'm sure Criterion will announce it. Let's talk about Mean Girls.
Let's dive right in. Do we think it's slightly silly that Paramount didn't wait till October 3rd to drop this?
I feel like they released it like actually on the theatrical anniversary. Is that true?
Oh, okay. I could see that. Like a true 20th anniversary.
Can we fact check that?
Hold, please.
We'll get our Google minions on it.
Yeah, it was released in theaters on April 30th, 2004.
There you go.
Yeah, that's fun. But it would have also been fun to have a Mean Girls Day on October 3rd.
Explain the October 3rd thing.
Lindsay Lohan has a voiceover through a lot of the movie, and there's a line. She's talking about the boy that she has a crush on, and she said, on October 3rd, he asked me what day it is. And then it cuts to that scene and he goes, hey, do you know what day it is? And she goes, yeah, it's October 3rd. And then it cuts. It's like that is what it is.
Aaron Samuels.
What a hunk.
Mean Girls is a 2004 high school comedy written by Tina Fey, adapted from essentially like a self-help book about how to guide your daughter through high school, I believe. Not a work of fiction. And the movie follows a high school student named Katie, played by Lindsay Lohan, who is new to school and has spent the past, several years in Africa with her zoologist parents.
I think her whole life has been in Africa up until this point.
Whole life?
Yeah.
There you go. So she's essentially been homeschooled, and this is her first experience in a real school, quote unquote. Then what happens?
So when her first day of school, she meets all the cliques in this high school, and she meets the two outcasts who introduce her to all the cliques, the way the school politics work, who you can talk to, who you can't. And through this meeting, she learns who the plastics are, which is like the three popular hot girls who are very fake. They're very plastic, for lack of a better term.
The leader of that group is Regina George, played by Rachel McAdams. And sort of surprisingly, the plastics kind of welcome Katie into the group.
And the outcasts, who are Katie's kind of like real friends at this school after a couple days.
Janice and Damien.
Yeah. The three of them, Katie included, concoct this plan for Katie to infiltrate the plastics and report back with all the horrible things that they do and say about other people in their school. And then lo and behold, that plan implodes and the whole school kind of comes under fire.
Katie cannot resist the urge to become a plastic.
And you know, who among us could?
Also in the cast, Tina Fey, who plays a teacher. Tim Meadows is the principal of the school. Amy Poehler plays Regina George's mom, who has fake boobs and a wig and is desperate.
You girls keep me young.
Desperate to be cool. And one of the plastics is Amanda Seyfried, who's gone on to, get nominated for Oscars and be amazing. I want to hear from each of you your first experience with this movie. Where and when did you see this? We were all sophomores in high school, I believe.
Yep. I remember it coming out and just being like, nah, whatever. I wasn't really watching SNL in that time. I didn't really have a relationship with Tina Fey, so I didn't see it in theaters. My friend who I was working with at the time brought the DVD, I think, over to my house, and we watched it in my mom's basement. And I was like, wow, this movie's way, way funnier than I thought it was. So I probably saw it in 2005, 2006.
And you've seen it since?
Yeah, I've watched it many times over the years. It's funny because I didn't actually pick up this disc for this episode, but I rewatched the movie and I rented it off Amazon, and it looked like garbage. It looked so bad. You could kind of tell there was a lot of DNR done to the whole image, and it just kept looking digitally played with.
Mm-hmm.
I had just been talking about how I didn't need the movie because it's like a streaming movie that's always on whatever service, and then I had to pay money to rent it, and I was laughing at the movie so much. I was like, this is so dumb that I didn't just buy this to put it on the shelf.
Yeah, Amazon rentals are a gamble.
Yeah, because Steel Magnolias honestly had looked all right, and so I was like, Mean Girls will be okay too.
Kim, how about you?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater. It was just kind of a big deal. I saw it with my sister and I loved it.
Was it like a big movie that you guys were waiting for, or were you just like, hey, we could go do this on a Friday night?
It was I feel like word of mouth,
Okay.
Good reviews. And I feel like Tina Fey was a big deal in my family because of SNL. And then it kind of became a cult phenomenon.
Yeah, but the real question is do we have Red Eye without Mean Girls?
Oh my God. Or The Notebook.
Good point.
Is it before The Notebook?
I think that might.
It's right before The Notebook. Same year.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. Big year for her.
I saw this, I think, like the Saturday that it came out, and I saw a matinee by myself, and I don't think that I had been anticipating it in any way, but it really got good reviews, and I think that's what took me to the theater and was just like blown away by it. I thought it was so funny. I was in love with Lindsay Lohan as a 16-year-old boy. And yeah, it immediately just took over kind of the culture of my friend group. I just remember people quoting it constantly. Even to the point where like rewatching it, every time like one of the big lines would come up, I would remember like who thought that was the funniest.
Yep.
Like of my friends.
My high school girlfriend thought the line "boo you whore" when she like hangs up the phone on her was
so
the funniest thing, and she would just like say it all the time.
The lines in this movie.
Well, some have aged like brutally awful, but for the most part, the movie,
I know which ones you're talking about. Absolutely.
There were some parts in this movie where, and I'm not one that I feel like kind of scares easy, but my jaw was on the floor for some of the lines in this movie. I was like, oh man, what a different time. 20 years ago, truly.
20 years.
A different time. We've really evolved in some areas.
We have.
Very much so. But also the bits, the really like funny parts in this movie are still so funny and dialed in. I really was responding to Tim Meadows a lot this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's so good.
There's a lot of really good physical comedy in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's like great physical bits. It's one of my soft spots, but is there anything funnier than watching people get hit in the face with things? When she kicks that CD player and it hits that dude in the face, to this day, I will fall out of my chair. It is so funny. Lindsay Lohan coming to the party in an actual Halloween costume.
Oh my God, so funny.
When she comes into the garage while they're watching Friday the 13th.
Yeah, there's that. But also just when she walks out of the house, there's that guy sitting on a railing and he gets so scared that he falls off the railing.
But it's such a timeless idea. I think it's like the desire to fit in as a teenager is timeless. So this movie is as relatable as it was. As long as you've been to high school, it'll always hold up a little bit,
I think you're right. I think that it plays on a lot of our fears or our fears at that time. Having a spotlight on you in high school is terrifying, yet it's basically all anybody wants. It's a really well done version of that story.
You cannot just look at this movie without comparing it to Clueless. However, I think Clueless is such a relic of the 90s that it doesn't transfer quite as much, but Mean Girls is sort of the one that is timeless and will always matter to high school kids because it's so relatable.
Yeah, the archetype characters in Mean Girls are a little bit more vast than they are in Clueless. Like the Valley Girl thing in Clueless was really like such a 90s staple, but I don't think that translated as much into later generations.
There may also be something to be said about the fact that we saw this as sophomores in high school. You know, it's an amazing movie, but I think we were lucky to see it right in that pocket of, you know, it is our generation for sure.
What I love about this movie is how it addresses female friendship and also female dynamics in a very aggressive way, in a very aggressive space. That scene in the gym when Tina Fey kind of confronts everyone, that message, like no one had really ever done that before in a way that was so entertaining, one, but really resonated for girls because we are really aggressive in that space and we are really trying to prove to be something we're not. So I don't know. I just think there's a lot to that she put in.
Yeah, it's very sweet. The message comes across. The arcs are really good. It rides that line between like genuine and, you know, slapstick.
It knows the beats. It knows when to turn on the real emotion and, you know, take your foot off the gas pedal on the comedy a little bit. And it finds that perfect balance where the ending is really sweet and touching. Also, there are parts of it that are hilarious. I mean, even before the gym scene really gets going and Tim Meadows is in there and he's like, all right, we're going to figure this out. And then that one girl says, can I even say this? It's not my fault that
she speaks about her heavy flow.
It's not my fault that I have a heavy flow and a wide set vagina, which is maybe the craziest line of all time. And he just goes, all right, I can't do this, and walks out.
So good.
But then it goes into this really touching and heartfelt scene.
Yeah.
That I think does a good job of getting its message across.
And I think it's really clever in how Regina is sort of the villain about halfway through, and then it kind of switches over into girlhood. She kind of becomes just like part of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not just a brutal monster anymore.
Well, Katie sort of becomes the villain.
Yeah. It's really well done. It's just so brilliant how it's just all orchestrated. I mean, Tina Fey is just an incredible writer. You can just feel it. It's all her.
I don't know what won that year, and I doubt Mean Girls was nominated, but it definitely should have been.
I feel like it was, you know, the crowd favorite of that year.
What, like fucking Babel won or some shit? Is that the same year?
God, probably. Ugh.
Finding Neverland was definitely nominated.
Oh my God.
Boy.
$1 Million Baby. The winner was Sideways.
Oh, look at that. That's funny. But Kurt, you would recommend picking up this new disc? Had you owned it before? Was this an upgrade or was this just a new buy?
So yeah, let's talk about this disc. I had not owned it. Somehow I never had it on Blu-ray. I definitely owned it on DVD actually, but did not still have it around. So I was excited. I was really excited that they were putting this out and had an excuse to pick it up. The first thing we'll say is it's sort of a limited edition right now where there is a slip sleeve that is designed like the burn book from the movie. So people, I mean, I think everybody's seen Mean Girls, but if you haven't, it's sort of this like diary where the plastics all talk shit about people and write nasty things. And then eventually in the movie, it gets sort of exposed to the whole high school. So the 4K slip sleeve looks like the burn book. It doesn't even say Mean Girls on the front.
Oh, that's fun.
And there are a lot of special features. Almost all of them are legacy.
Okay.
I checked out a lot of them. I listened to the commentary, which is fun. It's the director, Mark Waters, Tina Fey, and Lorne Michaels, all in a room together. It, I believe, is recorded like right before the premiere.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's fun to hear them kind of anticipating the response and only really having kind of test screening or whatever, like reactions to go off of in terms of the expectations. So there's one new special feature on here and it's called like the Class of '04 or something like that. And I was hoping it would be sort of a retrospective kind of, you know, cast interviews looking back, but It's actually like the cast of this new musical version of Mean Girls, which is an adaptation of the Broadway show that Tina Fey wrote based on the film. I have not seen this new movie, but this special feature is essentially like the cast of that new film talking about the impact of the first movie and what it's like to be kind of doing it again or bringing it back to life in a new way. So overall, the special features are, I would say just recycled, but it's a good enough transfer. Not mind-blowing, but certainly looks better than a Blu-ray would, and great colors. And I'm happy to, have it on the shelf. I think it's probably like, I don't think I would ever buy this in 8K, but I'm excited to own Mean Girls and, have it around forever.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, probably by the time this night is over, I'll be ordering The Crow and Mean Girls both.
I'd say it's worth it. What's everyone's favorite line from Mean Girls?
I mean, I opened the show with it.
What was your favorite?
The limit does not exist.
That's your favorite Mean Girls line?
I think about it all the time. I also think about Gretchen Wiener saying, "You can't sit with us," like freaking out. That's my energy sometimes.
Sam?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
I like Regina George wore cargo pants and flip-flops, so I wore cargo pants and flip-flops. I'm actually wearing that right now.
No.
Trendsetter.
I mean, Boo You Whore's incredible.
Yeah.
When she's eating a baguette.
Two fun facts that I learned. Butter your muffin was supposed to be popped your cherry, but they wouldn't allow it, the MPAA. And made out with a hot dog was supposed to be masturbated with a hot dog.
Made out is a funnier line, though.
It is really funny.
It is. I'm glad this movie's not rated R.
I agree.
Absolutely. It wouldn't be quite as revolutionary, I don't think.
Because like Superbad is really sweet too.
That's true.
Like the ending of that movie is really beautiful, but it doesn't get to quite move you, I don't think, because of the, the tone of that movie being so outrageous and hilarious. This one kind of being restrained puts it in a nice, sweet category.
Yeah, totally.
And I love the term fugly slut. It's very funny to me.
Fugly slut's really
so
good.
So funny.
Okay, before we go, as we do, we are going to put some wishes out into the physical media universe, conjuring up Blu-rays or 4Ks that do not exist yet. Are you ready, Sam?
I cannot wait.
I wish
I wish for X-Men 97 on Blu-ray or 4K.
I wish for a 4K Paramount Presents edition of No Country for Old Men.
I have a wish.
She wishes.
Kimbo.
She wishes. She wishes.
I wish for So Long at the Fair on anything.
She wishes. She wished. She wished. She wished. Wow.
Our first Kim wish.
Tell us about it.
Actually, the less you know, the better. But it is a British film from 1950, one of the quintessential British films. I had seen it years ago. My dad showed it to me, and it blew my mind. It is so creepy. The ending is so crazy.
Hit us with the title one more time.
It's called So Long at the Fair.
So Long
and
at
it's
the
like
Fair.
a thriller. It's black and white. It has Gene Simmons in it. It's really a great watch, and there is no way to get it, and I want it. I can't recommend it enough. But yeah, basically just the quick top line, it takes place at a Paris exposition in like the 1800s, and it's sort of this mystery that unfolds at this kind of World Expo fair.
It seems like there's only non-US DVDs available that I can find.
It's so sad because it's so it's chilling. It sticks with you.
Wow, can't wait. That'll happen, right?
Sounds like Kino would be all over that.
Yeah, it
Let's
feels
hope.
like a Kino thing. But anyway, yeah, don't look into it, people. Just hope it comes out and then watch it. But don't read the synopsis if you can help it.
Cool. X-Men 97.
I mean, this is just one of those things. I, have definitely fallen off like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I grew up reading comic books. I'm a huge comic book fan. This is basically everything that I have been asking for in comic book content for like a visual medium. I mean, I guess comic books are a visual medium, but I don't know. It's like, it's a perfect cartoon to me. I'm having such a good time. My brother was here visiting not too long ago. I really wanted to show him the first 2 episodes because this is the sequel show to the X-Men show that was in the 90s. We used to watch that together when we were kids, and I showed him the first 2 episodes, and the second night he was here, he was just like, yo, can we watch more X-Men? I said, hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
It's a new show. I mean, tell people a little bit about it.
This is a new show that's airing on Disney Plus now. It's an animated sequel series to the X-Men series that ran in the 90s.
Does it have the same theme song?
It has the same theme song. So what I've heard is that one of the requirements to greenlight the show was that the original voice, everyone available from the original voice cast had to come back, and the Newton brothers had to come back to do the theme song and the score.
Hell yeah.
And let me tell you, it's slightly updated, but it fucking rips. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend if people like X-Men characters and have not started watching the show to get on it. I think it ends this week, actually.
Who else? Kurt has told us about this too. I feel like it's a big deal.
Was it Sam?
No, what I was saying to my brother today, actually, is that it's been funny because of falling off the Marvel movies and I'd never really watched any of the shows or anything. This is the first one that I've seen in forever, and I'm like trying to talk to people about it, and it's the one show that no one else I know has watched.
Then maybe it was you.
I've been having a great time with it, but I've also cried through like 8 of the 9 episodes.
Wow. How long are the episodes?
30 minutes, man. It's dialed in. It is perfect. It is perfect.
Wait, set the scene of like how you would watch it as kids. Would you like get cereal and like post up?
Yeah, I mean, it was a Saturday morning cartoon thing for sure, but we also had the first 2 episodes on VHS. Those first 2 episodes are called Night of the Sentinels, part 1 and 2. We ran that VHS down. The top flap that protected the film from everything else broke off. Sometimes the VHS wouldn't work. You had to track it a whole bunch. But yeah, we watched that first VHS like crazy. And so,
wow.
I don't remember watching the show like week to week and being like, oh, here's the whole full story. But we definitely caught it any moment we could. We loved that show.
Classic.
Kurt, No Country.
No Country for Old Men. The 2007 Coen Brothers Cormac McCarthy adaptation starring Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, and Tommy Lee Jones. It is an all-timer and beautiful cinematography by the great Roger Deakins. One of those that I'm just sort of shocked hasn't happened. It seems like just one of the great movies of the last 25 years and should be top of the list for Paramount.
There's no 4K release on that at all, right?
Correct. And it's a Miramax Paramount Vantage release. So I wonder if that has something to do with it. But I remember it being probably one of the first 5 Blu-rays I ever got, partly because it was right at that time. This
was an early buy for me as well.
Do you have the version with it's slightly skinnier than a normal Blu-ray just by a little bit and has a nice slip on it?
Yeah, and has 2 discs.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one that I'm not sure if it still works. I don't want to find out that it doesn't after my mysterious heat wave problem or whatever happened to half my movies. So I kind of want to rewatch it, but I'm also the second I rewatch this, they're going to announce it.
That's one of those day ones for me.
Okay, that's it for our show. Thank you so much for listening. A huge thank you to Patrick Laban for our music, Kimberly for producing. While you're here, you know what? Give us a rating. We'd love it. We'd really appreciate it. It will help get this podcast in front of new listeners.
We'd take a like. We'd take a follow.
We'll take a like. A reminder, to be nice to your friends and, don't start cliques.
I had a clique in high school, and in my clique was a man named Patrick Laban.
Holy shit.
Who does our music and who also has a birthday today.
Holy
wow.
Shit. Day of recording or day of release?
Day of recording, baby.
Patrick, we hope you had a great birthday.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
We love you, buddy.
My fugly sluts. I'll see you next week.
Smooches.
Mwah.